Hey, it's Chris Angel coming at you for another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. How are you today? Let's. I love doing it at the computer here. So I usually do my episode on my phone, but sometimes I find myself in my office and I'm at the computer. So I love it because I get to use the Phil Donahue microphone and ask you how you're doing today. So let's talk about social media content calendars, because I've seen a lot of these lately as ads coming across my news feed. And I want to just get real with you for a moment. I know better than most how attractive a done-for-you tool is. It's like, I can't tell you how many different tools I've bought from people over the years, hoping that the tool would finally get me unstuck, right? Unstuck me. But the problem is that most of the time, someone else's tool still doesn't get the job done. So let's unpack why that is. All right, well, the most obvious to me is that someone else's tool is not your tool, right? They've spent time internalizing how this works for them, failing forward with all the nuance of why other things didn't work for them and why this did work for them. And so then they put it all together into a tool like a social media planning calendar for, I've seen them up to like 2 years of pre-planned content. And so then they share that out with you as a tool that you can it's either free or it's like $27, $24, whatever the price is. And they're sharing their tool with you. So do you see the problem with that is that you haven't lived what they lived. And so they can put, and by the way, most of the things that people put on the calendars are like ideas for what to say. But here's the challenge with ideas for what to say. If it's my idea for what you can say, you're still just as tongue-tied when you get to the calendar. You're like, oh, sweet, I got a social media planning calendar. What am I supposed to talk about today? Oh, it's Tuesday. I'm supposed to share a Tuesday tip. Oh, well, what tip do I share? What should I say? Or if they give you something specific like, hey, today is like, moon day. You're like, talk about the moon today. You're like, I don't really know what to say about the moon today. And so as much as somebody can give you a writing prompt or a speaking prompt, if it doesn't come from your truth, you have a hard time saying it. See, part of the thing that I discovered in my own unlocking for social media or for marketing was that it is only from my truth that I feel strong posting, right? I've spent time trying to post from things that I read but never lived. And I feel like an imposter when I do that. So whenever I start to speak from things I have not lived, I feel like an imposter. And when you feel like an imposter, what are the chances you're going to continue to show up and post your content? You're not. So if you have 2 years worth of daily posts planned where you get to feel like an imposter, how likely is it that you're going to show up for 2 years every day posting on social media, even though you have a writing prompt or a speaking prompt? It's not from your truth. It's not from your truth. And so, and by the way, even if you did manage to show up and speak every day from some writing prompt, I could smell that you didn't live it. That's the thing, right? Like what we want in the tribal economy is for real connection. We want authenticity and transparency. What I want from you, if I'm consuming your content, is for you to be real. You tell me about you. And that lets me get to know you. But when you go off of somebody else's writing prompt or speaking prompt about some holiday or some current event or whatever it is that they've planned for you, I don't actually get a sense of who you are, because you're not speaking from that place. You're speaking from a place of, oh, here's the writing prompt. I'm supposed to talk about that today. So here's what I propose. Rather than buying someone else's tool of pre-planned content, why not create your own? Why not create your own? Now, to do that, you're going to have to realize the first thing you have to realize is that you have something to say. If you don't think you have something to say, this is going to be hard, right? But here's what I know. Life has taught you something, and it's from the things that life teaches you that you share. That's where you share from. You don't share from somebody else's idea about what to say. You share from what life has taught you. And that is how I come to appreciate your unique perspective in the world. Can you imagine how many, let's say some of these social media calendars are flying off the shelf like hotcakes. People are buying them like crazy. I mean, it just shows you the allure of a tool, right? But can you imagine now that you have, let's say, thousands of people who are buying the same tool, the same social media content calendar. And from that social media content calendar, they're all getting the same writing prompts and speaking prompts. And so everybody's news feeds start getting filled with the same writing prompt. Do you see? Like what can't be recreated, what can't be duplicated is your life experience, because only you have lived your life experience. So again, rather than trying to speak from what somebody else tells you to speak, why not look at what life has told you and taught you? Why not speak from what life has taught you? Because that can't be recreated. By the way, the benefit of that then is you start to sink into your confidence. You start to speak from a place of certainty. Why? Because you're certain that you lived it. So how do we do that? How do we do that? By the way, you can't possibly know 2 years from now something that life is going to teach you. This is why I don't really teach social media calendars. What I teach is, how do you mine your life for truth every day? This is what I teach. In my programs, I teach how do you mine for truth in your life every day so that your content and your message is fresh, not only to you because you've just lived it, but it's fresh to them receiving it. It's fresh to them receiving it because nobody else is saying this. And it's fresh to you because you just lived it. So in order to do that, in order to mine your life on a daily basis for truth, you have to have some frameworks. You have to know where to look and how to see those things. And that's what I teach in my 6-week program called the Groundswell Method Intensive. If you'd like to learn how to not be a robot and sounding like everybody else with the same writing prompts, but actually feeling inspired by your own message in life and the conversation that you're here to lead in the world, then I invite you to apply for my 6-week program called the Groundswell Method Intensive. Here's how you do it. You go to groundswellmethod.com, you watch the free video, and on the last page of the free video is an application, okay? This is it, gang. Listen, we are no longer in the information age. Social media calendars, pre-planned social media calendars, are a relic of the information age, where it's about information. Well, here's something to say, just say this. And we no longer live there. We are now in the tribal economy where people want to know what you have to say. So if you want to be relevant to your people, if you want to be authentic and transparent, you must say what life is teaching you, not what some social media calendar has told you to say. And if you'd like help with that, go to groundswellmethod.com, watch the free video, and on the last page, hit the application button and apply for my next upcoming 6-week program. Thanks for hanging out with me here today, gang. Here's to you and all of the truth that life is teaching you. See you tomorrow.